Hi there, I'm Kaine. Welcome back. I hope you had a great day. So today I thought about builds, I thought I perhaps should share you with my stealth build here for DSOD. And this is a build I've been using for years. I haven't played for a few years, but until recently I started again. So I thought, why not share the build that has been carrying me in solo stealth for all these years? And with this build, I've cleared every single stealth map on DSOD. And I will share it with you, give you a few tips and tricks, and do a quick breakdown of everything here. So let's begin with the stealth skills here, the most important thing of all. First, let's see here. First of all, Mastermind. The tree is here. Let's begin with the controller. As you can see, you need, in my opinion, forced friendship, because it increases your supply of cable ties by 4, and you can cable tie hostages 75% faster. And in my opinion, you will need this in a few of these heists, where there are a lot of civs. You want to cable tie them faster because you want to move them away from certain position faster. For example, windows. 4 more means you can control 4 more civs without worrying about them. Now the next skills in this tree here, in a controller tree. Confident is the next skill I recommend here, a basic for stealth. The power and range of intimidation is increased by 50%, and this will help you crowd control much easier. You'll reach the civs further away, and the power of your shouts will be increased by 50%. Says it all, absolutely recommended. So take this as a basic in a stealth build. Next, Stockholm Syndrome. Also a skill you need for crowd control, basic. Civilians are intimidated by the noise you make and remain intimidated 50% more or longer. This means it will add upon confident the duration of intimidation, but what Stockholm Syndrome also does basically, the basic skill, is that when you use anything that makes noise, for example a saw, or you shoot a gun, non-silenced gun, it means that through that you can intimidate the civilians without having to shout at them. For example, here are a few examples. You run around let's use bank case for our frame of reference here. You are sawing open the ATMs and you have the whole room controlled and dominated. You don't have any more cable ties, there are few laying down. Well, what you do is that when you open the saws, you will hear a reaction from the civs. It means they are intimidated. So when you hear the screaming and stuff like that, it means it works. You probably heard it before, wondered why they do that, but it is because they are intimidated. And this helps you intimidate them even more. Now, on the topic of domination, when it comes to guards, now how that works, there are some great guides for it out there. There are some tables and multiplicators for how to effectively take down guards through domination. The tip I have is, number 1, never crouch if you're gonna dominate a guard, or if you're getting close to a guard that you don't want to dominate, just avoid. Don't bump into the guard, because if they are quick enough, you will be cuffed. And that will be a very weird situation. So that can mean if you play solo, you are game over. You have to restart. And if you're lucky, you have a buddy with you. That buddy has to run from the other side of the map and try to take down the guard as ASAP while uncuffing you. So always stand when you're trying to dominate the guard. That's the number 1 tip. That's mostly important. Number 2, aim your gun at the guard you want to dominate. Don't stand in a normal position, relaxed position, or whatever you call it. Aim the gun, that's important because it adds another multiplicator upon the effect. And flank the guard, meaning stand on the side, from behind, or more preferably from behind. And while you're aiming, you wait for the guard to detect you, because if you're close enough, they will actually start detecting you even if they don't see you. When it reaches the exclamation and you are and they have detected you, that is when you start spamming the shout key at them to successfully dominate them. And most of the time that works perfect. There are some, because when I say most of the time, is because there's a cooldown between each shout, and if you start shouting too early, there will be a cooldown between, and if you're unlucky, the guard will start shooting at you instead. That's a not fun situation to have if there are a lot of civs and guards around that guy. If you're lucky, even if the guards start firing at you like a trigger happy Texan, then well, there are two things that can happen. If there are many civs, you gotta see a lot of exclamation marks all around you. If there are no civ or guards around you, or maybe just one civ that heard that, then you're lucky. You can still dominate the guard. He will be dominated after a while if you keep shouting at him. And if you're lucky enough to run around after the other guy, civ for example, who noticed that, you can dominate that civ too, no problem. It depends on the situation, how you want to handle it and all that. But if you're unlucky and they start firing off the gun like crazy, and the whole map has gone full bar, and the alarm goes because you're playing bank heist and the bank tellers have pushed the button, well, you're screwed. And expect SWAT vans coming at you. Anyway, that's a tip. Most of the time that works perfectly well. You just have to time it. If you're unlucky, he might fire off a shot, or you have to keep shouting at him even if he doesn't do anything. But most of the time, this is the best tip I can give you, and it works 9 out of 10 times for me. I think when I screwed it up is because I started shouting too fast or too late. So that is about domination and how to dominate civs and guards. Stable shot, that's just a leftover skill point I put there, so nothing to worry about. You can put it anywhere you want. Now in the enforcer trees here, tank, I highly recommend transporter. Since more or less, if you haven't figured it out already, Payday 2 is a bag simulator. You're gonna spend a lot of time moving bags back and forth and shuffling them into corners and stuff like that. And you'll need this skill. You'll appreciate this skill a lot more than you think if you haven't already. This is more or less a skill also necessary when you go loud. Not necessary, but a really good skill to have if the loud map contains a lot of bags. In the ammo specialist tree here, you see I've chosen to ace portable saw. If you haven't already used the saw before and know what you can do with it, I can tell you this is a really great tool, almost a must-have for certain heists, for example bank heist, or the big bank, or San Martin, or transport heists. Because with the saw, instead of doing the pick locking, you can just do a double tap or triple tap and shoot open on to the next one and the next one and so on, and you are more or less done the work it would take pick locking it by hand way faster, so much faster. However, the drawback is the concealment factor, the detection rate from having a saw on you. So I actually recommend you learn first how to stealth a certain map, and when you feel ready you choose the saw and you learn how to stealth with a saw, because your detection rating will go up when you use it no matter what. But it's one of the best tools you can have in the game. For example, I did election day yesterday, and brought a saw with me on day 2, and it went smooth. Well, after a few restarts, of course. The thing is, you don't need to go and look for the cards and go out of the way to search for them, and you can just take the card you buy, if you buy the asset, and just run in there, saw up in a few, use the card. It's super easy. It makes the heist so much more smooth. As I said it before, the drawback is the increased detection rating, but when you learn how to stealth the saw and how to keep your distance, there's no problem. Now on to the next one, technician trees here. As you can see, I picked jack of all trades for a simple reason, because I've learned that having dual deployment equipment is actually something I prefer to have. There are many times I want to have ACMs and body bags at the same time, or trip mines and ECMs, for example. So I recommend you ace this, and you see why. Because if you have seen my videos, you see I switch sometimes between ECMs or trip mines or body bags, and this is one of a really good skill to have. Now I aced firepower, more firepower here because I want the trip mines. The trip mines and stealth has a blue laser by default. You can switch them to red, of course, and go loud if you want that. But the blue laser is a detection laser, and it's one of the best tools I've ever played with in this game when it comes to stealth. Once again, you don't need that equipment for all the heists, especially if you know them by heart. But some heists, for example, like Hoxel's Revenge is a great example. There are too many guards crammed into the house, so many that you want the kind of guard sardines in there. So you want to use these mines here for detection, because in there I want to have visual control to see exactly who goes where. So I can plan my route back out, for example, or downstairs or wherever I'm going. Because when you go in there, there's such a high risk to bump into a guard just turning around the corner. And you want to have control over that situation by knowing where they are. So this is absolutely a great asset for it. Place them strategically, by the doors, for example, or the pathways they usually walk. If you know, okay, they're always walking down that path, put a few there, so you can have visual control over the situation, that you can see and plan your moves ahead. Also, well, if you don't mind going loud or use ECM spam, you can use C4 to blow up in doors and stuff like that. It's always great skill to have, so I recommend you have aced this one. As well as these drill skills. They are also a must, especially, for example, doing bank heist and you're using the thermal drill to get in there, of course. It helps a ton to have it both quicker and quieter, and a chance to restart itself when it breaks down. So ace these skills. You don't need to ace Kickstarter, that's just for fun, to whack a big thermal drill with a bundle of money to kickstart it. Let's see here, steady grip, no presses, just another leftover skill. You can take it away if you want, you don't need that if you don't want to, but I do like having more accuracy no matter what, so that's good for me. The Shinobi tree and Ghost. If you have played Stealth in Payday 2, you know why you have all these skills, but I will do a quick rundown of these here. ECM Specialist, you get 2 jammers, that says it all, 2 more, that's good, 2 in total, I mean. The duration is increased, and with ECM Overdrive Basic you get 30 seconds of ECM jamming here, so that's a great asset to have with you, especially if you're doing an ECM rush. Now acing this means you can open certain doors, for example, once again, let's take bank heist. You find the guard room, the camera room, you don't have the key card because you can't find a manager. Well, easy peasy, just use an ECM and open the door and take down the guard. No more cameras. Great. And you can also open with an ECM the ATMs, for example. Nimble, super great skill to have. You disable a camera, especially if your friend is standing there with a full tactical vest and a minigun, and the camera is pointing towards him and starting beeping like crazy, then you use this. Totally perfect for that. There are situations where you're solo and you find yourself stuck between a camera and a guard coming towards you in a corner you can't hide under because the camera is looking at it. Nimble is a skill to have. And of course, acing it means you can lockpick fastest, and you really want that in certain situations, especially if you have guards coming towards you and you want to open a certain door. I mean, it says it all. This is a must-have tree to have aced when you play Stealth, especially solo. Now, Sixth Sense here, it means you can automatically mark enemies and civs also within a radius around you. If you stand still for 3.5 seconds, and you will see them marked around you. And it's a perfect skill, especially in tight situations. For example, recently in election day, I have to hide in the cages where the crates can be, and I can't peek out because I know the guard will see me, so I'm just standing still there and I'll mark the guard, have control of the situation, know exact, and see when he leaves I can run out again without worrying being detected. Now, cleaning out for those who are trigger happy or doing certain achievements, for example, or you're new to the game and you, well, need to take care of a few situations. It's a great skill to have, so you ace it anyway, no matter, even if you don't use it anymore in the future. Acing it means you can place 2 body bag cases, the same with ECM. And Chameleon means simply that you want to be detected faster, you will be slower detection rate when you stand close to guards. I recommend you don't stand close to guards anyway, because there's a risk they will bump into you and go totally freaky on you and start shooting you. So, but anyway, there's a situation you have to pass by guards, and acing it means you can pick up key cards, for example. Having that aced, all these skills aced, is a must when you play stealth. Easy, right? Now here, these 3 in Artful Dodger is a recommended. It's a basic skill set to have here. Duck and cover is simply because you get more stamina and you sprint faster. As I said before, this is a bag simulator game. You're gonna spend a lot of time running back and forth the bags and doing objectives, open crates and stuff like that. And you do want to run fast and you want more stamina to keep running fast. Especially, for example, if you play Shadow Raid, you ferrying the loot in the tunnel system, the sewers. And you quickly realize after you run around with a few coke bags that you have no more stamina. Well, this is the skill to have. The same with parkour. You want that extra speed. Everything in this game, especially if you're running back and forth, you need more. You want more speed and stamina. So pick this skill. Great skill for loud as well. These skills here, especially if you're doing a dodge build. We'll do that another time and talk about that. Now, inner pockets of for example, if you have trouble lowering your concealment rating down to 3, you need inner pockets, for example. As you can see, it increases concealment of melee weapons by 2, so this is also a must-have. You can play without it if you build in a certain way, of course. But I recommend these 3. Now here, optical illusions aced. If you play like me with a submachine gun or well, in this case with stealth, I use a shotgun and a pistol, and they have silencers. The thing is with optical illusions here is that you gain 1 concealment for each silenced weapon you equip, and you reduce the concealment penalty of silencers by 2, which means in some cases you gain even more concealment if you use this skill, increasing your concealment. So this is a highly recommended skill to have. Now with the points, depending how you play, you can use them wherever you want. I would recommend, for example, having the professional if you use silenced weapons because of the snap zoom, for example, or ace it even to have more accuracy, which is recommended. That's the alternative I would recommend. That said, this isn't a skill set meant to do loud. You can survive overkill and maybe mayhem depending on how you play and what map it is. Open maps, maybe not so much, but it depends, of course, if you know the layout and all that stuff. This is purely for DSOD Stealth maps. But then again, if you want to play loud too with it, if stealth breaks, sure. But don't expect to survive the first few shots if you play on DSOD, cause you probably get mini doses right at you. Happens a lot. Now that said, now you have the breakdown, the basics of the skill set I'm using from DSOD Stealth. Now the perk deck I've been using for years here are the Burglar perk deck. I think it's, let's see who it is. I think it's Clover, yeah. If you have Clover, you should have this perk deck, and this is one of the go-to perk decks when it comes to stealthing. I think you can use any deck really in the end, but you play on DSOD, you want the seconds, you want the speed, you want it to be smooth, you want to be quick, more or less. It's all about being fast. So the reason you want this perk deck is simply because you can bag corpses faster, you can pick locks faster, and you can answer pages faster, and you gain more crouching movement speed. As I said before, in this game, speed matters. In my opinion, it matters. Of course, there were situations you will be standing still for like a minute if you're unlucky because you have 3 guards talking shit about you behind a wall, and the only way out there is through a door, right into the guards. So you have to stand still, hence you have to use the skill Sixth Sense to keep track of them, see when to leave, for example. But when it comes to example bagging and picklocking and answering pages, it says it all. I mean, it's basically there why you want it. There are situations you pick off a guard, you answer the page faster enough. I mean, I don't know how much it is, 1.5 seconds or something like that. It matters because if you have guards around the corner, you want this to be done fast as quickly as possible, and you want to bag them as quickly as possible. Especially if you have a door beside you that you want into that you can hide behind. You want to picklock that lock super fast. So this is one of the I think it's the stealth deck. So get that if you don't have it. If you don't have the DLC, buy the DLC and when they are cheap. I think you can find cheap keys for it actually somewhere. So that's about that. Once again, stealth skills there, and you have, as I said, focus on these. Show me one more time. Yeah. Use the burglar perk deck. Now, here are some buffs you can get from the bots when it comes to stealthing. And quick is a great buff you can get from the bots here. Players interact 25% faster. And with 3 bots it will be 75%. What that means is that anything you do when you interact with something, it will be a lot faster. And if you don't play with other people, if you switch playing solo and with other people, you will notice a big difference. Though in doing DSOD solo or stealth, this actually matters sometimes. Concealers, as a doll, you gain 3 more concealment points. Great to have, especially if you bring a saw with you. Definitely something you want to have. Invigorator, simply because you get, as I said before, this is a bag simulator. You have 50 more stamina points, meaning you can run a lot more without having to take a break and catch breath. So this is a recommended buff to have here. Other than that, I mean, I don't really care. Accelerator is nice if you have a need for switching weapons in certain situations really fast. For example, you shotgun a guy right into the sea, and you turn around and there's a guy coming towards you far away, and you can't avoid this guy, and you have to take him down far away. It's fast enough. I mean, maybe then this is a great skill to have. I mean, buff. There you go. Now the weapons here. Let's begin with the equipment here. Simple. Since I used a dual equipment build, jack of all trades, that's the name. As I said before, I use trip mines on many of the heists. Not all of them, of course. Some heists I know by heart, more or less. I can do them without the ECMs or the trip mines, but still. For example, if you do Hoaxon's Revenge, using these as a primary, and use perhaps these as secondary. For example, if I'm going for no kill, when I'm going for I don't care about no kills, then I pick that as secondary or whatever. Depends on what you want to do, right? So play around with these skills. Do this, copy the skills I've shown you, the build, and play around on some heists with these equipment here. Try to find good spots to place the trip mines. For the blue laser, don't switch them. Don't ever switch them unless you want to deal with mini doses on DSOD. The first thing you see after it goes loud. Anyway, that's that. Those are the 3 equipment you should be using when playing solo stealth. And here's another thing maybe many of you might not think about, but in reality we're all human, and sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes we're tired when we're playing, or have fat fingers or whatever, like me. And suddenly you pop out a grenade from your pocket and everything goes boom. And your heist you've been playing for 1 hour suddenly goes foobar. You really don't want that, so make sure you have a profile for stealth only. Just pick anyone you're comfortable in, just make a simple solo stealth build there, or stealth. And pick a throwable like the spades like I have there, shurikens, knives, whatever you're comfortable with. As long as it doesn't go loud, it sounds loud. Like flashbang, for example, you flash yourself. See here, and we have the weapons, the primary and the secondary. Now, in reality, it doesn't really matter what you have as long as your concealment value is high enough. You can have, I mean, whatever. But the reason for I use a shotgun as a primary, mostly, not always, but mostly, is because at certain heists, for example, let's take Black Cat. If you played it, you know that sometimes guards stand by the railing. They do it is walk around in the wherever they are, and suddenly they just stand there super close to the railing, and it's perfect shot to just sneak up behind, aim up, and just fire a shot, and they will ragdoll right into the water. That's the thing. With a shotgun, you can ragdoll enemies. Don't do that though with a guard that has a pager, because that will mean you will suddenly have helicopters shooting at you or something like that, or cloakers beating your ass. And you don't want that in DSOD with a stealth build like that. But this is super great. For example, Black Cat, there are so many non-pager guards there, and you don't want to waste all those body bags you have with you. Maybe you don't have any body bags with you. It's super perfect. Just sneak up behind, and just aim upwards, really close, and just see them ragdoll right over the railing. Perfect. Also, there are situations where you're standing perhaps in a tight spot, and there's a guard in front of you. You can't do anything. He's turning around to you, walking towards you, but you have a chance to make sure that he ragdolls into a blind spot, because there can be situations you see guards looking at him or something like that, but you see if you ragdoll him, he will land behind a wall, for example. So a shotgun with a force, this is a weapon with force, is a good weapon to have with you in stealth. Do not try to do accuracy shots with it, because if you hit a window, if you done that before in stealth, you know what happens. The cops come. For example, let's see, and then you have the deagle here. I mean, you can, as I said before, you can take anything you want. The reason I use it because it has pretty decent accuracy and stopping power, and I kind of like the gun. That's more or less that it. The accuracy and just a personal preference. The accuracy here, single shotgun, weapon, simply because you kind of want that. There are situations you want to take a guard far away. For a situation you're helping your buddy out, you're buddy in a tight spot, you have to take out the guard, and doing so with a high accuracy weapon. There are probably better weapons to choose from, but I just take this and I usually hit everything anyway. It's a great secondary to have. Shotgun for ragdolling, a pistol for example, or an SMG for sniping, if you say, taking out guards without ragdolling them. And it also, if you mod it right, you can have a 30 in value concealment here. Now, that's the basics of it. Of course, you gotta learn the maps. That's a different thing. You gotta know how the maps work, what RNGs they are, what the objectives are, where the crowbars are, for example, or where the key cards are. I don't always remember every stuff. Sometimes I'm wandering around wondering where the hell everything is. But anyway, this is the build I've been playing with when it comes to solo stealth. And this is the build I made sure I got this mask. I cleared every stealth map there is on DSOD. And since I've been playing this for years, years ago, I want to share this build with you. It might not be the most perfect build for you, but it might help you to build a perfect build for you to soloing stealth, or help your buddies in stealth. So copy this. I will post a link below in the about section, and you just copy this skill right into your own profile here. Do a profile for it. You don't need to pick exactly the weapons I have. I recommend the Raven shotgun because it has decent values and good concealment, but it depends on how you want to play, of course. This is my recommendation, and this is my guide for you to do a great solo stealth runs. And I hope you take that mask, you get it, and you do clear every single map there is without much effort. There are some maps that you're gonna cry over because they are super ridiculously hard, but that's how they designed it. With that said, I hope you gained something from this, since I felt I wanted to share this with anyone who was interested. Maybe you're a new player, or an old player who hasn't really figured out how to solo stealth in DSOD, so this is my recommendation. That's it. Thank you for watching. I wish you a great day. Take care, and I'll see you next time.